So, good morning, everyone. My name is Bisola Akoni. I'm a track engineer that works in Network Rail for about 6 years, which, considering most people in this room, is a lot less than everybody else here. But it does put me in a good position to give my perspective on the future of the rail industry with climate change. Climate change will probably have the biggest impact on young engineers because we'll be faced with living most of our adult lives contending with and engineering around its effects. We can do nothing or we can do something, and today we'll hear a lot about that. And this is sort of my view on the challenges that we face and what the future could look like. So let's go to the future for a little bit. It's 2050, and for the predicted medium to high emission scenarios, the UK is now on average about 2.5 degrees warmer in summer, which is higher than pre-industrial temperatures, and about 1.5 degrees warmer in the winter. It feels a little bit like somebody's just turned up the dial on an oven. And this may not sound so bad because we'll finally have a British summer, but it brings a lot of issues for climate change and the environment at large. Global heating is accelerating towards 2 degrees, 3 degrees, and possibly even 4 degrees by the end of the century. So the heat waves that have been happening in previous years are happening a lot more often. Summers are a lot drier, winters are a lot wetter, and sea levels have increased by about 0.4 meters in coastal areas. The world in 2050 is a lot more hostile and less fertile, more crowded, less diverse, and there are more trees, but there's fewer forests, more concrete, and less stability. The rich, as you can imagine, have retreated to their air-conditioned refuges behind ever higher walls, while the less privileged are left exposed to the ever harsher elements. People are left dealing with rising prices, loss of homes, loved ones, harsh weather, stress, and depression. So if the climate emergency is left unchecked, it will lead to the collapse of the ecosystem. It's very dire for all of us. So what does that mean for the railway? So the problem for 2050 is not just extreme events, but even moderate events happening in quick succession. And that would impact how we operate our railway. So as a result, we can expect engineers over the next 30 years to be managing, constructing, and designing with these as normal. So hotter, drier summers will bring about more track buckles and earthwork desiccation due to shrinkage, overhead line sag and expansion, and increased vegetation due to longer growing seasons, which bring about more leaf fall issues. Warmer, wetter winters will bring about, as a result of more major storms, will bring about an increased frequency of floodings, which puts more pressure on our drainage systems, as well as the increased frequencies of landslips and scour and washout structures. There's also greater wind speed to contend with, which increases the possibility of tree falls on our tracks and more obstructions on the track. Sea level rise would also be a bigger issue to think about because considering that 40% of our network track miles are in medium to high risk flood areas. And also the railways beyond just the infrastructure is also about the people. And this change in the climate will bring about increased stress for our outdoor workers, as well as passengers and staff in trains and station buildings. Increased slip, trips and falls as well in wetter weather. So the world is warming, we can't get away from it. And that means that young engineers of today will be asset managing, designing and constructing in a warming world. And in that warming world, prediction and maintenance will become even more important as we try to keep up with increased requirements following extreme weather events, which will become more normal for us. The high costs and impacts of failures means that we'll be embedding climate change actions into our business plans, our standards, and our policies. Higher winter rainfall and stronger storms means much more attention needs to be paid to our ballast condition and also how we prepare our formation to ensure that we're able to transfer all that extra rainfall to the appropriate drainage channels. And the railway relies on a lot more than just the rail infrastructure to run. We rely on electrical power supply, fuel supply, water systems, and other transport systems for our supply chains. And we need to think about how climate change will affect them and our operation. So some challenges on the road to 2050. So the first step to fix any challenge is to educate ourselves about the problem. And one of the biggest challenges for the railway and engineers over the next 30 years is not only extreme weather events, but even recovering from those events quickly and being able to operate in them as normal. And some other things that we need to think about are social factors, for example, which is the demand for our services and what passengers expect from us and the way that they behave, and also the way that we interact with each other as organizations. Skills loss, about 28% of the workers in the industry are currently aged over 50, and about 15,000 could reach retirement age over the next decade, which means we'll be losing quite a lot of skills. But only 26% of 18 to 24-year-olds that are engineers say they would actually consider entering the rail industry. This follows from low percentages of BAME and women wanting to enter our industry. Rail is unfortunately not viewed as an attractive industry to work in, and with more restrictive migration policies with Brexit, this is going to become even worse. And with technology, we boast to have the oldest rail network in the world. So surely we should be at the forefront of disrupting and innovating at the highest level. However, we are a lot more slower to embrace technology and innovative approaches. Economic factors such as the large investment cost of implementing climate change strategies, as well as economic shocks such as the pandemic, which could affect our funding, and also the affordability of rail with increased cost pressures on households. As a pioneer of the railway, a lot of our network was not designed to handle these rapid shifts in weather. New coastal defences being built up to 1 metre high show that how large part of our network, which were first designed in the 19th century by railway entrepreneurs, were built with as little land as possible, causing us to now have steep sides and narrow cutting and steep sides, which are now under greater threat from climate change. Being pioneering is a great thing, but unfortunately, age has now become an enemy of our network in more ways than one. And there's also the availability of our resources for construction and operation due to the economy, climate change, and government policies. So going back to the future again a bit, so here's a bit about what I envision for the railway in 2050. I envision a decarbonised rail, so I envision that more has been done to decarbonise our network, the construction, and supply chain. The government and the industry have planned and completed a rolling programme of electrification, and we're using new forms of clean tracking technology on our network, like battery and hydrogen power trains are running more and more frequently on our network. We have optimised our existing network to be resilient and withstand extreme weather events. Resilience is being considered across the board in major projects, asset renewals and enhancement schemes, as well as even maintenance. With technology, we've placed more emphasis on materials, automation, data, and energy, which is driving our innovation. We're even powering our stations through energy harnessed from footfall. We're 3D printing materials, which is going to revolutionize and decarbonize our supply chain. The Internet of Things is being used to optimize operations, enable condition-based and predictive maintenance, reduce safety risks, and increase service availability of rolling stock and infrastructure. And we're exporting our expertise to other parts of the world that need that expertise the most. The next one. With the efficient and sustainable railway solutions, the way we deliver projects is more cost efficient. We're incorporating more sustainable materials and elements early in design, reducing carbon and environmental impacts. Innovative engineering and construction techniques are being used as the norm and not just by exception. And finally, we've made the railway a lot more attractive to our customers and our workers. Technology has made the railway more reliable, comfortable, and competitive for passengers, making rail a much more attractive mode of transport. The public are now aware of the big role that we have played in the net zero 2050 targets, and we have finally got them on our side. As an industry, we've raised awareness of the opportunities available. Our workforce is a lot more diverse and inclusive and supported. And we've made some changes that have made sure that we've challenged the preconceptions that people have about working in our industry. So let's dream a little bit. As the industry moves towards 2050 and beyond, could this be the future of rail? So as I'm talking, you can try to pick out as much as you can from the picture. So what has happened in the UK over the past few years, and particularly the past few weeks, with 3 major storms happening back to back, should serve as a very clear warning to all of us. Bill McKibben, an American environmentalist, said climate change is the single biggest thing that humans have ever done on this planet. The one thing that needs to be bigger is our movement to stop it. Over the next 30 years, as engineers, we will be seeking answers to the tough questions, considering design choices through the lens of sustainability, driving the adoption of technology and innovation, all in collaboration with each other. Innovation isn't just part of the problem, it is key. And we only have one planet to call home and one railway, so it is important that we act and push the boundaries of what we can achieve as an industry. Rail is a really big part of the net zero goal, so we as railway professionals need to not just talk about it, we have to be about it. A bright future of rail needs bold vision and strong will from the government, the industry as a whole, and those educating our railway engineers of the future. Emerging professionals of today are going to be the asset managers and senior leaders of influence tomorrow. We will be the people dealing with whatever decisions are made today. So the industry would benefit very greatly from looking at future challenges through the fresh perspectives of younger generations. As a result, senior management needs to support us, and we must use every opportunity that we have to be heard. Young millennials and Gen Z are a generation of activists, and they are increasingly expecting their employers to be inclusive, have a social mission, and a strengthened commitment to sustainability. As engineering companies wanting to attract the best talents, you need to make sustainability and inclusivity a very strong pillar in your business. Now, going back to this picture, this looks a bit like something that Elon Musk could have done in his spare time. And while he can be a little bit out there, there's quite a lot that we as the railway could learn from his boldness and innovation. So to conclude today, I'm going to leave you with my bold vision for 2050. I envision that the railway will be the pillar of the UK's transport system, seamlessly meeting the needs of customers and society. Our railway will be more dynamic and innovative, sustainable and reliable, resilient, world-leading and competitive, ushering in a golden future for our railway. So, are we up to that challenge? I think that we are. So, thank you very much.